are expected to attend anti-war marches in London. Joining me now is Police Federation Chairman Steve Hartshorn, who is in Westminster for us. So good morning to you. The policing job tomorrow is about as difficult as it gets. How are your officers preparing for it?
I'm hoping they go in there with a positive attitude, remembering that they have a job to do with enforcing the laws that we currently have. It's going to be increasingly complex and very difficult for them because they're going to be pulled from competing sides of either side that's going to be present. They will be professional. I'd like the public to understand it is an incredibly difficult job for them, being caught in the middle of different opinions, different ideas. But as Sir Mark Rowley said, they've got confidence in the operation, they complete it safely. And the outcome we want is for everybody to attend, say what they need to say properly, and everyone can go home safely.
Have been peaceful, largely, but we're going to see a conflation of a lot of things, a congruence happening tomorrow. Do you think it could turn nasty?
I sincerely hope not. I'd ask for people to be respectful of other people's opinions. Inevitably, it will be my colleagues, the police officers out there that are being pulled from all over the country to attend London, and maybe in some of their own regional events taking place. They are potentially going to be the ones that come into conflict, having to make very, very tough decisions in the heat of the moment. Again, they're there to try and keep the peace. I think they will do a very, very good job. Inevitably, people will be arrested. I would ask those people that if you are arrested, understand the job my colleagues have. You know, we're there to uphold the laws given to us by Parliament, and we'll do that as professionally as we possibly can.
Yeah, on that, have the guidelines in terms of what is legal and what isn't, is that clear to you? Because there seems to have been a lot of conflicting opinion about what is permitted and what is not.
There is, and if you look at how ultimately we end up in court, we have a prosecution, we have defence, and there's always different opinions of how that law has been interpreted at the scene when we lay hands on and do an arrest, or indeed when we take the case file to court. So, you know, my colleagues are going to be there at the weekend and across the country doing the best they job to interpret the law as they see fit at that particular time. Quite often they get judged in hindsight, which isn't always the best place to be, because unless you've walked a mile in a police officer's shoes and done the job, when you're in a protest, when you're being shouted at, spat at, assaulted, it's very, very difficult sometimes 6 months, 12 months down the line for that to look like your actions are correct, when absolutely they want to do the right thing at the right time to get it right, but there's always opposing views.
Yeah, it's a difficult balance, isn't it? Has the Home Secretary made your job and their job harder by her comments this week?
If I'm honest, it's not for me to comment on what others are saying or inflammatory comments from the Home Secretary or the Prime Minister. Our job is to be apolitical, to uphold the laws that we're given. Sometimes it feels like there's competing demands being placed on officers at the behest of government. Then we were there to be impartial. We just want to do the job to ensure public safety, to let people air their views, and ultimately for them to go home and say they've had an opportunity to demonstrate and protest according with the law, and I don't think that's too much to ask.
Yeah, no, I know that you don't want to get dragged into the politics of the various marches, but have her comments, which many say effectively undermine the police, made your job harder?
Potentially, yes, because my colleagues will be there thinking, on one hand, I've got senior ministers in government asking for one set of laws to be interpreted. They've got the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police who said we've got absolute certainty that we can provide safety and security to everybody there. So there will be some kind of concern in their heads about, are they the next person on the front page of the local newspaper making it in Sky News headlines for the officer that's laid hands on, done an arrest? It does cause some concern. All we want is for politics about policing, allow us to do the job that we're trained to do properly and professionally, and then hopefully say it can be a nice, safe protest, peaceful marches for everybody to attend and say what they want to.
Yeah, and Mr Hartshorn, do you feel that police have effectively become a political football?
It certainly feels like it. But again, we're there to do the job asked of us. We don't set the laws. I think Sir Mark Rowley said it's for Parliament to make the laws, and we police up to those laws and do the very best we can. Again, I called for it at our annual conference a little while ago. I want politics completely out of policing. We're there to be impartial. We should not be used by anybody for political point scoring. And it's getting increasingly difficult to kind of remain silent on that aspect. But we do the best we can. We're there to do the job, to look after the public, but also to make sure our colleagues go home knowing they've done a good job.
And we're expecting thousands to descend on the Capitol tomorrow again. This time, though, those wanting to pay respect for Remembrance Day, also those joining the pro-Palestinian marches. Have you a message for people coming?
I'd implore anybody coming to come with the view that this should be peaceful. I know the organised intend for it to be a peaceful protest, peaceful marches. That should be possible. We live in a democratic society where people are allowed to exercise their views. If they do so with the mind that they could potentially upset other people, then just dial it down. Let's have a safe, peaceful protest. To me, that achieves far more than using violence, using threats against people, because that becomes the headline and it detracts from the real message that people want to deliver is let's arrive safely, let's go home safely, let's have none of my colleagues injured, which will invariably happen, and then it can be a real demonstration of people power, talking properly to get some good discussion going.
All right. Really good to talk to you this morning. Thank you. We will, of course, be covering all of those marches taking place in London tomorrow.